Appreciate you coming on. Obviously, a condensed work week. So even though today's a Wednesday, it's like a Thursday of a game week. So had a little bit of a accelerated work week. We came in on Monday. I think I went through that. Obviously, the day that we usually don't work. So Monday was kind of like a Tuesday for us. Our Tuesday was like a Wednesday. Our day-to-day Wednesday was kind of a hybrid Wednesday, Thursday. Tomorrow we'll go to our afternoon practice like we do at home games here during the course of the fall. And then obviously have our normal day before the game preparation to get ready for. We were able to get out under the lights on Monday. I know Maryland's actually going to walk through tomorrow night in our stadium after we're done. So they're having an opportunity to come in here. Excited. You know, we've been bringing some guest captains, had Coach Turner in at the beginning of the year. Now we're going to have Kevin Hardy. Talk to him earlier this week. He's coming in to be our guest captain this week for the home game with his Hall of Fame induction, all that goes into it. So really excited to have him back in the mix. He'll address our group tomorrow. An exciting time for us to get back into Big Ten play. From an injury standpoint, have a lot of our players returning back. Obviously, Brandon Peters being the first one, but to have a full week of practice with all of our running backs, to have a full week of practice with the majority of our wide receivers now, getting a few of those guys back now, with Hightower included in that. So to have a full week of preparation offensively has been really, really positive. Defensively, Sidney Brown is all good to go. Will start for us. A guy that got injured last week, but he's returned 100%, ready to go. So defensively got a little bit stronger with players back, as well as offense. And of course, that'll affect our kicking game. Probably going to continue to see some more of our freshmen that you've seen already. Possibly a few more in the mix, depending on how the game plays out. But get back to Big Ten play and see where it goes. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Hi, Coach. Just one quick question. What would you say are some of the keys to the game for your team on Friday night against Maryland? You know, just some of the major keys for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have keys: offense, defense, special teams, and then also within each group that we kind of decide on earlier in the week. We review those, go through them. I would think overall as a head coach, you know, something we really stressed and emphasized is obviously the ability to win a football game. You have to stop from losing them, right? So some of the issues that's passed up the last couple of weeks have been our penalties and mental errors, and that's an area that we're putting a huge emphasis on to make sure that we get correct. We have to learn from the defeats of the last 2 weeks, right? To lose a game is obviously bad, but then to not learn from it would be the ultimate sin. So that's got to be a huge point of emphasis. I think offensively, they're a very dynamic group that scores a lot of points, that is able to run the ball, throw the ball, really a pretty balanced attack. On first down, they're almost evenly run pass balance of what they do. I think the quarterback does a really good job of getting the ball out in the short space, but also in vertical throws. Defensively, to play a very aggressive defense that tries to be opportunistic on all downs. So a tremendous challenge. And then Coach Zook running the special teams, a guy that's very familiar with Illinois and what we do here. So a lot of familiar faces, obviously Locks and all that he brings. I think the familiarity of those two guys with the stadium and the environment here is also something that we got to be accounted for.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Coach, I know special teams has been a strong point this season for you all. I'm sure you're probably going to expect that again Friday. And I talked to Kirby Joseph today, and I wanted to know, how does he factor into that special teams unit? He had the one mistake against UTSA, but just talking to him, he seems like he loves to make those plays and to be like that guy that does the dirty work.
Yeah, Kirby's very good athlete. He runs extremely well. He's got a lot of quick, sudden movements. He's twitchy, which a lot of times makes you a really good special teams player, a guy that goes hard all the time. So he's literally involved in all four units for us, has gained more of a defensive role as well. So, yeah, I think the great thing about Kirby is you're seeing a good player that's manifesting right in front of us that is only scratching the surface of what he can be. And he does have that attitude of a player that he enjoys the special teams aspect just as much as the defensive snaps he takes. So that combination is something you can win with.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Bret, I want to touch base on, do you think Keith Randolph will be available, or is he still a little longer off?
Yeah, Joey, I think he's probably a week away. He had been out there a little bit earlier in this week, but he would be one guy defensive line-wise that we probably won't see this week, but hoping and goal is to get him back for Purdue.
Yeah, and then I wanted to ask you, I know you've talked a lot about corners and defensive backs kind of having short-term memory. Is that like an innate thing, or is that something after the last couple of weeks that you guys try to push and harp on a little bit more?
So at the corner position, we've had obviously Spoon, TA, a little bit of Taz, sprinkled in some of the freshmen. Guys have played well at times, and at times we need to get better at, and especially helping them as coaches. So I think a corner, whether we're playing at the high school level, college, or NFL, those guys are put on islands a lot, right? They're put in environments that if they make a mistake, the whole world knows it. So I think that is something unique in itself. You got to make sure that you got a feel for them and understand them. You got, for us, Tony Adams and Spoon, who are both very talented players, but completely different people and personnel in a way they kind of respond both to success and adversity. So I think just part of us as a coaches is these first 3 games is getting to know and learn and understand our players as much as you can learn from a practice or a scrimmage. There's nothing like live football, and we've had to learn a lot through these guys these first 3 weeks, both through success and failure and how to handle them. So hopefully that's something everybody's getting better at.
Thank you, Bret.
Yep.
Hey, Bret, I know nothing's official yet, but a lot of talk of scholarships being added to the class of 2022, some scholarship relief there. Are you all in favor of that? And what does that mean? Do you want to see that long-term with the transfer portal the way it is?
Yeah, I think one of the, even going back, this is my 13th year as a head coach, even before I became a head coach, I was a recruiting coordinator at Kansas State, at Iowa, and then again at Wisconsin before I became the head coach. That as time has evolved in college football, the rules have changed, and then obviously nothing more of a game changer than the transfer portal. It kind of sprinkled in first with a grad transfer rule, and then now this transfer portal has just opened up this new venue of recruiting that's never been seen before. So I knew that it was just something was gonna have to give. You couldn't stay with this 25 limit and continue to have the evolution of everybody's roster as much as it was. So there have been a variety of different topics discussed. I've been very keen in that since last December's arrival to where we are, because as a program that really is trying to get back a roster up to the strength of our opponents, that this is a huge step in the right direction. Whether it ends up being the 32 number or whatever they're going to come at, as long as it's more than 25, it definitely would be something advantageous for us here at Illinois. And the best way to be able to recruit a good solid core of high school players and then sprinkle in a group of transfers as well.
How have you guys handled that with the unknown? Especially, it seems like high school prospects might not have as much here recently, so it seems like a boon for them too.
Yeah, it'll have an effect in every area. For us personally, we had kind of gone under the principle that something was going to change. I just had enough discussions with the conference, the SEC, the rules committee, as well as then just some connections at the NCAA office about what had kind of developed and what the proposals were. I knew there was going to be some type of relief because of the COVID, right? Like this year, every senior is exempt, right? This super senior class doesn't even really exist in your numbers. So to go from that and to have all these 4 remaining classes that were affected by last year's COVID year to still count into your 85, it was just, it didn't make, they had to do something. So I had gone under the guidelines that we would probably be in that world of at least getting to 30, maybe 35. I thought maybe it'd even go an unlimited up to the 85. But I think we're going to land somewhere in that low 30 number. And we've kind of been recruiting all along to that demise. I think from a high school standpoint, to get somewhere between 15 to 20 high school players, and then maybe an additional, 10 plus of the transfer world is something that we've been kind of planning on.
Great. Thank you, Bret.
Yep.
Bret, how has your professional relationship with Dan Enos made Maryland Prep this week somewhat unique? And have you seen him adapt like a lot of coaches will throughout the time with his play calling and his scheme offensively?
Yeah, Dan and I, obviously worked together at Arkansas. Had known him a little bit on the outside world looking in. He was the head coach at Central Michigan when I contacted him. Really didn't know him all that much other than played against him and recruited against him and competed against him as a coach. And then during the interview process, when I selected him to be the OC, just really enjoyed my time with him. His family, they're incredible people. When Arkansas transition happened, I did whatever I could to help facilitate helping him get. He was actually started at Michigan and went to Alabama. Was in communication with him all throughout that time, even when he went to Miami, and then obviously ultimately when I took the job here. I would say that the schemes that we ran when we were together offensively are completely different than what Maryland is doing, but that's really to the testament of what kind of coach Dan is. He's extremely gifted. He always uses his players' strengths. I think he's an exceptional quarterback coach. I know when he was at Alabama, I know I'd had conversations with Nick about how much he thought of Dan as a play caller or as an offensive coach, a quarterback coach in particular. So very talented person, extremely dynamic, gifted. I know him and Locks have a relationship going back to Alabama, and you can see those same things carrying forward to where they are now.
Thanks, Bret. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Hey, Coach. I just want to get your thoughts on Maryland's wide receiving group. They have a really good dynamic group with a lot of speed and a lot of size with Dante Demas and Rakim Jarrett. I just want to get your overall thoughts on them and what you've seen in film off from those guys.
Yeah, without a doubt, I think Demas number 7 is a very dynamic player. Has a lot of ability in the short term as well as down the field. Jarrett is a guy that you can see that they game plan certain things, definitely used in certain situations as well as certain route concepts. The guy that makes it all go, obviously, is the quarterback. But I would say just their offense makes sense when you're watching them, between West Virginia and obviously versus Howard. Like they have a plan, they execute it, the players play at a high rate. You can see the tempo in what they use to try to keep that all orchestrated. They run the ball effectively, kind of with some old school philosophies, with some new school thinking. So they're a very unique preparation. They do a really, really good job.
Hey, Bret, I'm just curious with the Friday night game this week. Obviously high school recruits are playing instead of being able to come to campus. How do you guys move the timeline around, or how does that impact recruiting for just throughout the week for you guys?
Yeah, so to this point, because we have 2 bye weeks, we're a little bit unique because we had the week 0 opportunity that presented us with 2 bye weeks, which is going to allow us during those timeframes to get out a little bit more. By NCAA rules, you're only allowed X number of opportunities to go out. Obviously, because we're playing on Friday night, we won't be out this Friday, but we'll begin to sprinkle that in over the next couple months here. We do not have a huge invite list, or not, and really just opportunity to get kids, because if they're not playing on Friday, they're playing on Saturday, and they're not coming to games on Friday night. So, we had some local high schools that we've reached out to when their seasons were canceled, that we allowed them to come here and be visitors. So we have some special situations, but for the most part, Friday will be all about our game plan. And then, as always, the first thing we do when we get scores on Friday night is react to after our game. I'm sure we'll send out some congratulations and best wishes to people that did it. And then for sure, Saturday morning, it is going to allow us the opportunity on Saturday to have a full day of recruiting for us as a staff before we get, because Purdue's game isn't until 1:30 that afternoon. So we'll be allowed to get a good jump start on the recruiting trail.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hey, Coach, with Deuce and Isaiah kind of settling into that receiver spot now, how have you seen their relationship, I guess, change at all, if it has, or just maybe even just strengthen?
Gabby, and I know you guys have all interviewed, but both of them aren't a lot of, you got to draw it out of them, right? They're not a real talkative duo. Both unique personalities, awesome young men, have been raised the right way. I can't say enough about what they represent, and kind of both of them coming from that quarterback background, they automatically, instead of thinking it as, hey, I just wasted a couple of years at quarterback, now going to wide receiver, I've tried to explain to both of them how much they have an advantage over the other receivers, right? They understand defenses, they understand coverages, they understand what a defensive call is trying to do and how that affects them. And I think Deuce in particular has really helped through the guidance of Isaiah. I think Isaiah has done a really nice job, even though it's kind of 2 different type of wide receiver types, just talking about the transition. And then obviously I read the quotes this week from the way our players like to see Deuce have success. He's an awesome kid. He's fun to be around. a very well respected guy in the locker room. So I think as he's had this success, guys have really felt genuine appreciation for him and what he's done. So I'm excited to see his role continue to grow.
Yeah, Deuce had said that after his first practice at receiver that Isaiah kind of pulled him aside or came over and talked to him and kind of echoed what you first told him about just, getting a chance to, help the team every game. Like, how nice is it just to see those, your philosophies kind of travel through the players now?
Well, I think as a head coach in particular, the more you hear your players regurgitate what you say, is very gratifying and fulfilling because these things will work. Like, I've been here, done this, right? Like, I see these teams, begin to have some success in areas they haven't, and I know what's coming here. I want it to be there, but it'll come when we're ready for it. It'll happen when we're in a moment to capitalize on it. But it's those little sidebar conversations that you're referencing, like when Isaiah took it upon himself, that's the old quarterback in him, to go. He knew that Deuce could help us offensively. So for him to put it in a way that I, as a coach, could never do, right? Like when it's coming from your peers, when it's coming from the guys in the locker room, and that's maybe a little bit more clear to them, especially with certain players. Some kids, whatever a coach says, they're going to snap in, buy in, lock in, do it. But some kids need to hear the reassurance from another voice, and the more it can come from the locker room is better fit for everybody.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep. All good?
Thanks, Bret.
Appreciate it. You guys have a good week.
Thanks, Coach.